Hi everyone, Gemma here, thanks for watching today. So I thought I'd bring you a Sunday surprise. It's been a while since I've done one of those videos and I thought it'd be an ideal opportunity to include it as part of my 14 Days of Love series. So we're going to mix and match made to surprise collections, and I'm going to be making a Valentine's inspired 3D card and display box. So I'll just go through the products I'm going to be using today. So I have the 6x6 paper pack and it's the occasions background, and I've gone for the love heart design. I think this was launched with the simple pop-ups. I then have this linen embossing folder. I'm going to be making a 3D card using the 3D Delight collection, and this is the mechanism die set. I also have the Love and Cake stamp and die set, so I'm going to be using the handle and the hearts in here. And then lastly, I'm going to use the 3D Delight special sentiment stamp set and the sentiment circles die set, so a combination of both there. So the idea for this project is an explosion style box. When you take off the lids, two of the sides will stay upright, and then it'll display a cup then inside the box. So I'm going to split this down into two sections. So first we're going to go through the explosion box, and then we'll go through the 3D Delights cup. So I've decided on this pink coral card, and for the base you need two pieces of 6.5 by 6.5. Then for the sides you'll need 3 pieces of 7 by 6.5. Along the 7-inch side we're going to score at 6.5. So as I said, 3 pieces of that. And then for the last side you need a piece of 7 by 7, and along one edge we're going to score at 6.5, rotate and score at 6.5 again. And then for the lid you need one piece of 8 1/8 by 8 1/8, and we're going to score at 3/4 of an inch on all 4 sides. So that's all the pieces for the explosion box. To decorate the front, I've got 5 pieces of 6 1/4 squared. I've also got 5 pieces of 6 by 6 in the love heart design, so I didn't have to trim those down, so that was nice. And then for the inside of the explosion box I have 4 pieces of white cardstock cut to 6 1/4 squared, and I've embossed them using the linen embossing folder. I have found with these 8 by 8 folders that your cardstock does need a bit of spritz of water to stop that cracking, so just a little tip for you there, and you still get a really nice impression. So I've got my 3 side panels here with the 1/2 inch tab at the bottom. I'm going to valley fold the tab and burnish along the score lines. I've taken a little wedge off each side of the tab, so I'm going to do that for all 3 panels now. I've then also got the additional panel with the 2 1/2 inch tabs, and again I'm going to valley fold each tab, and I've taken a little wedge off each end there. So the first thing I want to do is connect one of these panels together, so these will be the 2 that stay upright. So I'm just going to add some quick grab glue along the side tab here. If you have larger cardstock, you could cut just one piece and score in the center here. So you'd need a 13-inch cardstock and you score at 6.5 and then at half on the bottom. But for this project I'm using A4 card, so I don't have that option in my stash. Next, I'm going to take one of the bottom pieces and I'm going to start to attach these side panels. So one will go on this edge here, another on this one, and then the last two I'll create an L shape and attach them. So I'm just going to add quick grab glue along here, attach them to my bottom piece, and I'll come back to you. So I've gone ahead and I've attached two of the side panels, but I've decided not to attach this one just yet because I want to add my mats and layers while I have a flat surface. So I'm going to do that next, and then I'll attach these last two tabs and the base piece to complete the bottom of the box. So first I'm going to take my 4 embossed pieces and I'm going to decorate the inside of the box as so. I'm going to use my construction glue, which is Kalal. It's an all-purpose glue. It's solvent based, so it makes your projects really strong. So I've attached all my embossed pieces to the 4 sides here. I'm going to set that to one side. Next, I'm going to attach the pattern paper onto the plain white cardstock. So I've gone ahead and I've attached all my pattern paper to the plain white cardstock. And now I'm going to attach them on the front of the explosion box. So I'm just going to be mindful of the direction of the panels to make sure that I have the orientation correct. So I'm just attaching the pattern paper to the 2 panels that I've joined together. So you can see the tab on the outside, but when I attach this piece here, you can hardly see it. So if I hold that up, but it's entirely up to you. You could cut another piece of 6.5 squared and pop that on the top, and then add your white piece and your pattern paper. Or alternatively, you could add the tab on the inside, but as this is going to be displayed open like so, I preferred the tab to go on the outside. So you're left with one piece, and that's for the lid, so I'll set that to one side for when we start working on that. Now I'm going to attach these 2 tabs to the corner here. I'm going to use quick grab glue. I'll hold it in the upright position, so hopefully you can see that on camera, and I'll just pop that in the corner there, and then I should say that way, sorry, so the tabs are on the inside. And once that's attached, I'm also going to add my last piece over the top to cover those tabs up. So I've attached the 2 side panels there so they're upright, and then the bottom 2 here, so hopefully you can see that okay. So I'm now going to pop that to one side and work on the lid. So we've got a 8 1/8 squared piece here, and we're going to fold and burnish along the score lines. So you may have seen my previous video with the explosion box. The construction is the same. So we're starting off on the one on the right hand side here, and I've just cut up to the first score line. I'm going to take a little wedge off this tab, move to the opposite side, cut up to the first score line, take a wedge again, and then rotate to the opposite side and do exactly the same. So before we construct our lid, I'm just going to add my white piece and the pattern paper on top there. Next, I'm going to take my quick grab glue and add it to the first tab here. We're going to flip it over, bring the sides up and around, and attach those tabs together. So we're just going around adding some quick grab glue to the tab. You're bringing the sides up to create that corner there, so you've got a lovely straight edge. And I'm just going to make my way around now and finish the rest of the tabs. So as I'm working with A4 cardstock, I've decided on a 3/4 inch lid, but you could reinforce it or make it larger if you have larger cardstock, but I was restricted by the width of A4 card. So the lid fits on top of the box as so, and this is the side view. So when you take that lid off, the two sides fall down. Apologies, I'm struggling to get it on camera, but hopefully you can see that okay. I'm looking at getting a new camera stand because the one that I have is quite limited on height. So when I'm making my larger projects, it's difficult for me to get it on camera. So hopefully you'll see some improvement in the camera angle in future videos. So now that we've made that, we're going to set that to one side and we're going to work on the 3D Delight, and then we'll bring them together. So I'll go through all the pieces that you need to cut. So using the 3D Delight pop-up mechanism die set, I've got 2 of this, that's those there, 2 of this, those 2 there. Then this piece here with a tab on the end, hopefully you can see that okay, this larger one, 2 of those. I've then got a matte layer, so I've got white and the heart pattern paper, and then I've got this in white and this in the coral, and then from the Love and Cake stamp and die set, I've cut 2 of the handles there, which is this die. So I'll just move everything on camera so you can see what I've cut there, because I may have gone through that a bit quick, so I apologise. So hopefully you can see everything that I've cut. So the first thing I want to do is reinforce the score lines. Sam always recommends this because we all have different machines, different pressures, and it's just to make sure that we don't have any cracking in our cardstock as well. So that'll be my first step. Because I'm not folding the card flat, I'm not going to reinforce the score lines on these pieces. Obviously, if you want a standalone piece that does fold flat and goes into an envelope, you want to reinforce those score lines on there. And I would recommend cutting an extra piece of this. So when you attach them together, you want to use your construction glue to add that extra strength, but also let it dry in the flat position because it's more likely to stand up better that way. So now that I've prepared all my pieces, the first thing that I like to do is any pieces that need to be attached together, I do that first, so it gives it time to dry, and then I move on to the assembly. But obviously if you have a different way of working, please do it that way. But this is my preferred method. So I'm going to start with these two pieces here. So I'm just going to fold and burnish along the score lines. So all the folds are valley folds on these pieces. And then I'm going to use the construction glue, and all I'm going to do is attach it to this section here and a little bit here. Next I'm going to work on the top of the cup. So fold and burnish again. So the centre score line is a valley and the outer score lines are mountains. On this piece I'm just going to trim these tabs away. So I'm just following the score line. I've cut an extra piece just to strengthen the top because of the weight of the cardstock. But Sam does recommend, even when you're using a heavier weight cardstock, that you double up your pieces. When you open the card, it's easier for it to sort of find its position and help it get into that circular shape. So I'm just going to attach the handles together now. Then lastly we're going to put all these three pieces together. So fold and burnish on the score lines. So the top tab here, this little rectangle piece, is a valley fold, and then with this tab I like to fold and burnish in both directions. And then you want to add a curve into this cardstock as well, just to help it along. And then we're just going to put a curve in the pattern paper and the white cardstock. And I add the curve before the glue again so that it dries in a curved shape rather than a flat shape. So obviously you can flatten it down to add the glue. So when you're attaching your pattern paper, be mindful of the orientation. So the tabs here should be at the bottom. So now I'm going to start on the assembly. So I like to add a little 1 inch guideline along this score line just to help center this piece here. It needs to be bang on to make sure your cup sort of opens correctly. And then I'm going to add some quick grab glue along these tabs here. And then using my markers as a guideline, I'm going to sit my piece in the centre of the two of them. Next I'm going to take my circular piece and fold on the score line. I'm going to add quick grab glue on these 4 tabs here. Slot this piece over the top. and then fold it down so it meets the bottom, and fold the 4 tabs up so you've got something that looks like this. Okay, so you've got this sort of cake tier shape. I'm then going to attach these 2 pieces together. So once they're together, I like to push in the sides a bit just to help it shape. And then you're going to add it to this piece here. So you want to thread the tabs through this slot here. Same on the other side. And fold them over. I'm not going to attach glue just yet. I just want to check that I've got my position correctly. So I'm just going to press the top down so it goes inside. That looks pretty good to me. So and take that back out. Add the glue to my tabs. And then I'm going to add the glue to these tabs here. Ideally, I should have reinforced this score line because I forgot about this bit. But you want to push that up so that the tabs sit inside. I'm just going to push them down a little bit so they're off the edge there. So I haven't folded that, I've just sort of bent it over. Adding some pressure on these tabs here. Anyone else notice what I've done? I forgot to add my handle. So I've gone in with my tweezers and I've gently lifted the ends just so that I can wedge this in and get that glued down. So there's my cup already. Just trying to flatten the base out a bit. It is being held in place now with this piece here. But I'm going to add cloud glue on the bottom here, and then that'll help flatten it out and give the base the strength that it needs. So now that my cup is complete, I'm just going to trim this bit off now because it's no longer needed and I don't want to use it to add any further decoration. So I've just trimmed that away. I've cut an extra piece in white cardstock and I'm going to colour this with my Copic marker. So I'm just going to let that dry off a little bit before I attach it to the cup. So I wanted to create some jammy Dodger style biscuits. So if you're in the UK, you should know what they are. If you don't, then it's like 2 layers of biscuit and there's jam sandwiched in between them. And then there's a heart cut out of the top and you can see the jam. So I've used the sentiment circles and this is the second largest one. I've cut it 4 times in white cardstock and twice in red. I've then taken the heart die from the Love and Cakes stamp and die set, and I've cut a heart aperture out of 2 of the scallop shapes. So the first thing I want to do is just colour my biscuits. So I've gone ahead and I've attached the top layer and the red layer together using some collal glue, and then I've added some foam pads onto the red piece. And then I'm going to attach on the bottom. I'm just moving it around to find the correct shape. So they're attached together. So I've just added some accent glaze then in the centre there to give the illusion of the jam, and I'm just going to set them to one side to make sure they dry. So I've just added the coffee to the top there, and then I've also taken some of this size heart and that size, and I've attached those on the top. So I'm really liking how it's starting to turn out. Next, I've taken a scrap piece of white cardstock and I'm going to stamp my sentiment. So I've taken this sentiment here. It says all you need is love and coffee. I thought that was quite cute. So I'm just gonna pop that on here. I'm going to stamp in Tulip Red using VersaFine clear ink. There, I'm happy with that. So while I'm waiting for my sentiment to dry, I'm just going to add my cup inside here. So I'm just going to do a little further decoration while I'm here. So I've got some hearts cut in the coral pink and red, and I'm just going to add them to the corner here. I then die cut my sentiment out with the largest scallop circle. I'll just hold that up for you. You can see what it looks like from the front. But I'll pop a picture in at the end so you can see it fully. And the lid just sits on top like so. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Sorry if it's been a bit of a long one, but it was a large project. If you do make this or anything else from my Valentine's series or anything else that's been inspired by my YouTube channel, please share in our Facebook group, Gems. The link to the group will be in the description box below. I'll also link any products used in today's video. So if you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. You may want to comment or consider subscribing to the channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future tutorials. Once again, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!